Underneath the glitter of every golden age lies a quiet truth. Wealth has never been safe. Not in the days of empire, not in the chaos of revolutions, not even in the supposedly stable decades between wars. From the palaces of Babylon to the villas of ancient Rome, the rich have always played a different game than everyone else. They knew that money, whether in gold coins, grain, or land titles, was never just wealth. It was leverage, insurance, and survival. And while ordinary people trusted the system, the elite learned to protect themselves from the system itself. The question is not how they got rich. The real question, the one worth asking today, is how they stayed rich when everything around them was falling apart. To understand this, we need to go back to the earliest examples of concentrated wealth, when rich didn't mean a big bank account but the ability to control resources no one else could touch. In the city-states of Mesopotamia, 4,000 years before Christ, the wealthiest merchants and rulers didn't just store their silver in vaults. They tied it up in temple loans and farmland leases. The Sumerian kings kept their wealth safe by entangling it with religion. The temples were not just places of worship. They were the central banks of the ancient world. To seize a temple's assets would be to offend the gods, and that religious shield made elite fortunes politically untouchable. Egyptian pharaohs and their court knew a similar trick. In the Old and Middle Kingdoms, wealth was stored less in coin and more in durable, tangible assets. Fertile land along the Nile, warehouses of grain, and gold mines in Nubia. These were not easy to confiscate without dismantling the state itself. The ruling elite used an early form of trusts by dedicating properties to temple estates, ensuring they would pass to their heirs. If you were an elite landholder in ancient Egypt, you didn't have to worry about inflation. Your wealth was in the land, and the land produced food in a world where food was the ultimate store of value. Fast forward to classical Greece, and you see a different approach. Diversification through mobility. Greek merchants made fortunes from maritime trade. They understood that a political coup or a war could erase wealth stored in the city's treasury, so they kept deposits in multiple city-states, invested in cargo ships, and built relationships with bankers and ports as far away as Egypt and the Black Sea. This was an early version of offshore banking. If Athens fell to Sparta, a clever merchant could sail to Rhodes and still have enough to start again. Rome took this principle to another level. The Roman elite knew the dangers of political turnover all too well. They saw dictators rise and fall and fortunes wiped out overnight. Their solution was a blend of diversification, political insurance, and influence. The richest Romans did not keep all their wealth in coin. They bought land in multiple provinces, invested in tax farming contracts, and loaned money to foreign kings and cities, knowing repayment would be backed by Roman military power. They weren't just diversifying their portfolio, they were diversifying their jurisdictions. During the decline of the Western Roman Empire, as the state's ability to enforce order collapsed, elite families shifted wealth from public assets to private, hidden ones. Instead of lending money to the imperial treasury, which might never repay, they invested in fortified estates and private armies. When Rome fell, the imperial treasury was empty, but the richest families still controlled the land, the food supply, and the manpower. Their wealth survived. The medieval world brought new challenges. In Europe, the richest merchants and nobles used the church as both a bank and a legal shield. Property donated to the church was largely untouchable. This meant wealthy families could park assets in monasteries, keeping them safe. The medieval banking families, like the Medici, combined this with bills of exchange, an early form of paper credit that allowed them to move wealth across borders without carrying gold. A Medici could be bankrupted in one city and still be rich in another. The Islamic world during its golden age also developed sophisticated systems. Merchants in Baghdad or Cairo used the hawala system, an informal but trusted network for transferring funds without moving physical money. It relied on personal honor and family reputation, making it incredibly hard for a ruler to seize. So what do all these examples tell us? That protecting wealth has always been about two things: control and distance. Control means holding assets that generate value regardless of the political climate, land, trade routes, resources. Distance means making sure those assets are spread across different systems and jurisdictions, so no single event can erase everything. The rich of ancient times understood something most people still don't. Wealth stored only in the official system is wealth at risk. And that lesson matters today more than ever. We live in an age of instant digital seizure. Governments can freeze bank accounts with a keystroke. Currencies can be devalued overnight. Inflation can quietly strip away your purchasing power. The ancient elite didn't trust their entire fortune to the state, and neither should you. The tools are different. Now international diversification, precious metals, alternative assets, private holdings, but the principle is identical. History doesn't repeat exactly, but the same traps appear again and again. People assume stability is permanent until the day it's not. The wealthy of the past didn't wait for disaster to strike before moving their assets. That's the real meaning of financial freedom. Not just having money, but ensuring it survives the storms. If you take only one lesson from this, it's that the system works for those who know how to work around it. The rest, they find out too late that their safe money was never really theirs to control. If this gave you a new perspective, hit subscribe. History has the answers. I'll show you where to look.